in here because it seems to be okay.
Hey everyone, Jenny Wise here from WiseMind Soul Warrior. And I am super excited and honored to have Chrissy Hawthorne on with us. She is one of our YTT, WiseMind Soul Warrior students. She is an E200. She is a YACEP. And we'll get more into her as we go along. But I am super excited. Chrissy, if you want to introduce yourself and just kind of tell us how you came to yoga, like your yoga journey, and then what kind of brought you to WiseMind Soul Warrior and what attracted you to the training, and how did you and I connect, like that kind of journey.
Okay, well, I'm Chrissy, and I'm a mom of 3. And originally, way back when, I was, career in the office, and then I had a family and was an at-home mom, and I found yoga teacher training, not intentionally seeking out teacher training or ever being a teacher, but I was leading in a children's ministry, and it was during a time where I was kind of like trying to find, how to provide tools for my kids because I had high energy in the house, and just things that I also needed to relax. And so then I just like stumbled upon teacher training, and I just did it for myself to start. I did it to just equip myself and get myself kind of in a good, just self-regulating, eating well, doing the breath work, doing more movement. And then I started, inviting the kids into what I was learning. And so they thought it was great. I noticed that they would use it in times where, they were nervous at school, and award ceremonies to be specific. But, I would kind of be able to tell that they were using breath work, but in a way that nobody else really noticed what they were doing. So it just kind of snowballed from there. I graduated from my yoga teacher training in 2016, and then I really wasn't thinking that I was going to teach, but I was, of course, asked to teach at the yoga studio. And I did end up going to get some, further training. I went to Duke Integrative Medicine. In their facility, they offer a lot of programs that I was able to get some training specifically for senior care and specific needs, and people who are new to yoga, kind of making that transition, that smooth transition into, the movement part. Then I just kind of taught at varied locations, and I always kind of end up investing in myself and my self-development, and then that is what I end up just getting excited and sharing with others. It was in 2019 that I found your studio, and it was through a friend who invited me to your class. It was in January. So at that class, I specifically remember I chose a word for the year, and it was clarity. And so since then, I I would, just enjoy the things that you would share, and it always piqued my interest. And, I would use little nuggets of information. And then when this came up, this training here, it kind of aligned where I was ready to, move into my 500-hour teacher training. And it wasn't that I was even thinking about doing it yet. It just seemed to kind of fall together at a time that I thought, okay, this is another good time to invest in, self-development to the next the next level of things that I haven't explored yet. And so I went for the call and it was comfortable. It was good. I could share personal things, be vulnerable, which is, I mean, in any kind of self-development, you have to be ready to be vulnerable, and having a place for that is just incredibly important. So I decided to take the leap.
And it also is helping you with your own business too, which we'll talk about later. That a big part of the training obviously is the personal development piece, and it's definitely open to whether you're a yoga teacher, whether you're like Chrissy and you want to get your 500 certification, or if you're a wellness coach. I just talked to somebody this morning who's in holistic health. Whether you are a corporate professional, whether you are a student, there are a lot of the training is about learning life skills and learning stress and emotional resilience skills, and also, as Chrissy said, personal development. So I would say 60% of the students we have now are in that bucket of a corporate or a professional or a mom who's just wanting to go deeper into their own healing journey and to really learn these skills as life skills, like self-care and stress and, letting go of patterns that aren't serving them, like perfectionism or inner critic voice or workaholic or whatever it is, because we go into what we call shadow work and soul work. So it's a lot around the family of origin and letting go of patterns not serving you. So I just wanted to say that in case someone's listening or listens to the replay and they're like, well, I don't want to be a yoga teacher. I haven't felt called to teach yoga. Or maybe it's somebody who's considered teaching meditation or mindfulness or breath work or yoga psychology or cognitive behavioral change or shadow or soul work, right? So the point is too, that if you feel called to teach other things like those types of topics, that you don't have to be a traditional asana yoga teacher to still get a benefit from the training, if that makes sense. So I love like thinking about when we met at the studio and we ran those community classes for like 3 years, where we offered those free, I call them mindfulness, meditation, and yoga psychology workshops and seminars that were open to the community. It was open to the public. And you had come with your group of friends, and yeah, that's exactly what we did. We did the Sankalpa, we did the intention for the year. And I still teach that every year. I just taught it again. And that's part of what we just did in the challenge that we did in January, because that was part of my journey. And of course, I was sharing that with you guys. And I still continue to share that new process of creating an intention or a Sankalpa for the year rather than a resolution, because we all know 80 to 90% of the resolutions fail by February, which is why you pick an intention instead, a Sankalpa. Okay, go ahead.
It is extremely helpful to have that to come back to, and as a reminder. And now I'm also back into the office, and I have used that every December, January. I start to kind of share it around the office every year. Just who knows if anybody is, really implementing it, but it's nice to have these little nuggets that I can share in my environment anywhere, really. Home or
So what is your Sankalpa word for this year? What's your intention for 2022?
This year I have chosen focus, and I have chosen that before. I have actually had focus as, this is probably the consecutive, second year of that word. But I just needed to extend it a little longer because I had noticed that I have a pattern of because I'm a mom and I have a lot, I have a mom career and then teaching, and of course, all of the little things here and there. So I tend to lose focus sometimes. So,
well, you have a lot going on. I mean, like you said, you're working a corporate job. You've got 3 kids. You're a wife, you're a business owner, you're a yoga teacher. So you've got a lot happening and a lot to balance. So that makes sense why you would pick focus. My word for this year was actually arise. And there's the 3 pillars I chose underneath that was empower, serve, and motivation, or like inspiration. Those are kind of the 3 pillars. So, because I went back and forth about many different words, empowerment was one, serve was one, and arise is what came for me. And it's really like in alignment with like women arising, if that makes sense. So I'll definitely talk more about that on another discussion, but I did post about it. I just haven't had time to really get into sharing what that's all about. So if you want to share your personal examples of transformation and healing, and maybe some scar patterns that you may have changed around like your confidence or your inner critic voice or your imposter syndrome of who do you think you are, maybe some things that you might have released when we did our retreat in Asheville with the fire transformation, things that you might have learned around stress or emotional resilience or meditation, mindfulness, just like give us a little bit of your like personal experience of how you've used these skills in your daily life and also in your business or in your own in your own yoga, teaching.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I have to kind of sit back and both use letting go and also boundaries. So through this, I had to find a good alignment where both, both things came into place where I not only would set and withhold personal boundaries, but also be able to have, patience and waiting and letting go and just, so finding that good alignment there, that was um, a focus for a while.
Yeah.
And I would say the breath work is a major piece that I really do enjoy, and I use that even body scans through the grocery store because I had noticed that there are times where I'm rushing around, and even just going into the grocery store, I could feel that I'm holding tension between my shoulders, and so I would just bring awareness, lengthening the breath, the body scan, releasing any tension. Um, just little things like that that I implement in my day-to-day life, and then also I just kind of pull it into the yoga classes so I can share with other people that are in the same, moms and whoever else that comes into class and looking for these little tips.
Yeah. Can you take a moment to kind of describe your experience in Asheville of like the fire transformation and some of the other things that we did at the retreat? So just other students can kind of hear what that was like from you and your experience.
That was wonderful. I went kind of a little bit more as introverted and working on my own personal goals, but I was met with a really nice community where, everybody was sharing and, getting to know each other. And I thought that was wonderful. And so it was easy to meet people. And I did love that the chefs there were cooking, they were making all vegan food, which that is really hard when you're trying to stick to an all vegan diet and going out or getting ideas for recipes. It takes a while to kind of get into that. But I enjoyed the little detox and I felt great. I loved the fire. I
Of transformation.
Yeah, that was nice. I had, I always have to practice kind of using my voice, and I do use my voice in kind of a less, out there kind of way. I usually, I'm a planner and I plan things and then take my steps forward. But that was a good way to just kind of release, do a burn letter and also speak and just outwardly speak. like women empowerment way. And it was very nice. I liked that a lot. And it felt really good. And that was something that I said to myself, I thought, okay, well, I'm bringing this back to my daughters because I have 2 girls and I want to be able to equip them with ways to really tap into that inner warrior.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, well,
enjoyed it.
I loved, like, from my perspective, being able to sit back and watch all of you, because you have to, name it to claim it. You have to feel it to heal it, all of that. So you guys absolutely, it's like I get goosebumps talking about it because you guys definitely did that. Each and every person in the group ended up reading their letter and burning it. And each and every person had something that they were releasing there and that they were claiming they were going to change. And that was super powerful on my end to get the privilege to sit back and watch all of you do that. Like, that was amazing to see everybody step into their power. And yeah, it was a beautiful thing to watch. So, and I'm really grateful that we were able to do that, COVID didn't prevent us from being able to go through with the retreat. So I was talking to some other students about that too, that when I planned all of that in January of last year, I was holding my breath and, saying prayers and all the things that we were able to do the things we were able to do. So I'm grateful that that did not hold us back from being able to run those immersions.
Yeah, that was
I felt like that was an
much
important part of
needed.
the training.
Much needed.
Yeah.
Especially getting together. I think a lot of us had spent some time not with other people, so being able to get together and then also having just your leadership through that time. It was helpful to have that little nudge to kind of, this is the way to, how to do the things that I actually really needed to do. Sometimes when you're just, or studying or reading these things on your own, it's good, but you're not really fully getting it until you have somebody alongside of you, just leading the way and witnessing. Really, it's like a witness to the process, and
Yeah.
it was good.
No, absolutely. Like, I consider myself obviously a teacher, but also a guide. I'm simply a guide and a vessel. You could call me a facilitator, but more so a guide or a vessel of spirit, to just be open to whatever I'm meant, whatever words are supposed to come, whatever, nudge I'm supposed to give, whatever encouragement I'm meant to give, that's simply what I am. And so each teacher that goes through the training has that same gift. It's just them honing those skills, right? Of being able to use their voice and be able to speak into their leadership and to be able to open their, their throat chakra and speak their truth. And each of you have your own unique story, right? So you and I have talked about this, that we each have our own gifts. We each have our unique story. So I'm honored that I've been able to lead you guys and that I have been able to do all the things like leading up to this point that has prepared me, right, to be able to do that. That all the things and all the experiences and the trainings I've went through and the trainings I've led before this have led me to now being able to step into what I'm doing now, if that makes sense, right? So you're always being prepared for whatever that next step in your purpose or your dharma is, even though you may not know what you're being prepared for, right? If somebody would have told me that I was doing what we did in Asheville this summer 5 years ago, I would probably, I don't know if I would have, I couldn't have seen that because I wasn't at a place where I was ready to step into that, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
There have been many times that I look back and I'm like, I had no idea I was going to be doing this. And, it's just amazing things, once you tap into that guide and step out, things just kind of fall together.
Yeah. And you know what? You and I have that in common in that when I took my first teacher training, I was not taking it to be a teacher. right? Like I had depression, insomnia, anxiety, and a counselor had recommended me take a yoga class. And so within 3 months of me taking my first class, I was in a teacher training. That's how fast that happened for me. But when I took the yoga training, I was not looking to become a teacher. I wanted to learn more about what is this healing modality that has made such a change in my life. I mean, it changed my life. Thank God I found yoga. But then within like 6 months, I was teaching. Like, that's how fast that happened. And so it just goes to show that you don't know, like some of the women that started this training last year that will finish this year, that they may end up teaching at some point, right? So you don't know, but it's like walking into it, just being open, whether I teach or I don't teach, this is still going to take me through a transformation, and it's going to be a life-changing experience. And I'm going to have a group of soul sisters that are at a whole different level. And again, you can't really describe it unless you've gone through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you've been part of a teacher training, it's really hard to describe what that's like until you're actually in it, and the level of like deeper relationships that you create.
Yes, that has been a very important piece. The relationships that I developed through my first teacher training are still just very important people in my life now. And now this group, I feel like is the same. It's going to be the same. It's a wonderful group of women.
Yeah.
And I'm sure men too. But,
yeah.
So
tell us a little bit about the format of the teacher training, as far as the learning management system and like getting to the manual, getting to the syllabus, the handouts, doing the group coaching that we do in the private Facebook group. What has that been like for you as far as the format of the training?
My favorite is the weekly group visits. I really do like connecting and being able to connect once a week. That's a lot. There are times where I haven't been able to be present, but I always go back and watch and just take notes on my own time. And the LMS has been easy for me, and I'm kind of one of those people that's not technical savvy. Yeah. And so I can get in there, and the classes are wonderful. I can, get cozy with it in my house or wherever. I have taken it other places. And the handouts, there's a wealth of information in there. I think this is going to be something that I've noticed that I'm going at my own pace, and it's like a slow pace right now. I'm kind of taking like little baby steps with the information, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be going back to it many, many, many times. And I have noticed, like even with my first yoga teacher training, I have notes in there that at that time I took the notes and didn't really resonate with me, but then later on, just randomly, I'm thinking, oh, I think I learned something about that somewhere along the line. And then going back there and reading those notes, I understood it a little better. So I think that this is going to be very much like that, where I'm just kind of skimming it right now, but it's very in-depth information. And so I think this will be years worth of, just checking back and learning more things. So,
well, the best teachers are lifelong students, right? And so that's why we give you the lifetime access to the content, because like you said, you're always evolving and changing and learning, and you have to kind of go through the material as you're ready to digest it. And the deeper you go in your journey, the different things are going to arise, right? Different things that you're meant to heal, and healing is not a linear process. So that's why we give you as much time as we do, as far as being able to go back and look at some of the the exercises or the journaling or whatever that exercise is.
Mhm.
Because like you said, oftentimes it's good to be able to go back to it. So
Yeah.
does
And
that
there
make
are
sense? And I'm not technically super technical savvy either.
Mhm.
And I wanted to be able to use something that was pretty user friendly and straightforward. Once people logged in and got in, it's pretty straightforward to use, to be able to hit complete when you've watched something, to be able to download the handouts or print them out, or have the syllabus to be able to check box and follow along as you go through the videos and the content. So, so that makes me happy. Okay, so the consultation. So right now we are running consultations this week through Friday. And this is again a yoga psychology discovery session. Some of these students might join teacher training. Some of them might be part of some of the other programs that we're running. Some of them might just be talking about like the struggles that they're dealing with right now, which is what the conversations I usually end up having, right? It's very much conversational of, where are you now? Where do you want to go? What are you struggling with? And will this program help support you in that? Whether you want to be a teacher, whether you want to run a yoga business, whether you, again, are a corporate person that's just struggling with relationships or anxiety or depression or, perfectionism or whatever it is, you're just like, I need to change and I've had enough. Like, I'm ready for a change. So for those out there that don't know me personally, right? They may have never met me. They might be like seeing this online for the first time, or what your experience was like doing a consultation with me and what that process was like.
Well, basically it was like talking to a friend. And at first I, was a little bit reserved on what I wanted to, talk about. It was mostly um, just scratching the surface stuff, getting information,
Yeah.
and then it evolved into actually being comfortable to talk about what was on my mind and what exactly I wanted to pinpoint for my personal development, and then, and then the goals beyond that. So it just felt comfortable. I was able to be completely honest about where I was, and it was kind of like where I could reach something that I thought that maybe I couldn't at the time, but as long, we just kind of put everything out there in open communication, and it turned out that, this was something that was going to be a way. So it was comfortable, and it just kind of started to just all work out well for me. And even as I went, I was a little nervous about joining something, at a time had other things, like a lot of other things going on at once. But as it went, I realized that this was like the main thing. And so it was a good yes to just discuss and sort through.
Yeah. Well, I'm simply here again as a sounding board. I mean, that's often what happens on these calls is also figuring out, is this person ready to make a transformation like this? Are they ready to step into this? And the other piece of it is you're never 100% ready, right? You're not 100%. I wasn't 100% ready when I went to my teacher training. You have to kind of go beyond like the resistance that your ego is going to tell you, because you're going outside your comfort zone, right? So in order to really do the healing work and the transformation, and to really show up as the highest version of yourself, or show up as the best version of a leader or a teacher, you have to get outside your comfort zone and go deeper into your healing process. So you're going to show up as the best version of a leader if you've done your own work, right? And as a teacher, especially if you're leading other people through yoga, you're wanting to lead them through yoga for transformation or yoga for healing, you can't take somebody else through something you've not gone through yourself first, right? So, and for those of the students out there that again are corporate, or they are a business owner, they're a mom, or whatever, type of student you are, your student wants to go deeper into learning about this, like I did when I started my training, is just knowing that you're wanting, you're enthusiastic, that you're willing to try this, right? You're willing to make a change. And so that's another reason why we have the conversation, is also to figure out, like, what have you tried so far? Where are you on your healing journey? And does this make sense? Are you in the right state and place to move forward? And so, of course, we also talk about the financial piece and working that piece out for you, and try to come up with custom ways if we need to work that out. But in addition to that, it's also me gauging, are you ready to step into something like this? And will you be a good fit for the rest of the women that are in the group as well? So it's kind of like a process, I guess, of, I don't want to call it an invitation, because we try to include pretty much almost everyone, but it's part of the process of making sure that person is going to fit in with the rest of the group, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's incredibly important to create a healthy environment and healthy space, and a space where everybody can kind of have a certain level of trust with one another through the transformation. So,
right. Yeah. And to be able to hold space, like you said, for each other,
right.
That it's a safe container, and that this is confidential. Obviously, any type of consult that I do with anyone is 100% confidential. And anything we discuss in the group coaching or in the immersions that we do, of course, is also confidential. That stays in the circle of trust, that stays in that sacred circle of, that's the circle of healing. And that's meant to stay confidential within that group and within that container of whatever it was that we released or that we worked on or we healed in that space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I definitely feel that.
Yeah. So tell me, for your Facebook, you have a Facebook page, right? You're working on a website right now, but you do have a Facebook page, right?
Yes.
What is your Facebook page? Tell me what that is.
Well, I usually shorten it up, because you can type in FB, which is Facebook, dot.
But if somebody was searching for it, is it Mindful Movement? Is that?
It's Mindful Motion LLC. So you can actually go into just your search and put in Mindful Motion LLC, and it'll pop up. But I usually, like, if you're going from a web page, it's like fb.me/Mindful Motion LLC. So, or something of the sort. I did have a website at one time, and I'm not a technology type of person, so this seemed to be a little bit easier for just connecting with the class dates and times in the event section and things like that. So I just figured something simple, just to get class information available. So
remind me where you're based, Chrissy. Are you in, is it Clayton?
It's actually Garner, but it's really close to Clayton. It's dance, art, yoga. And I teach on Monday nights there. I have 2 classes, and occasionally on Friday, and there's always room for workshops and things like that as they come up.
You said is it dance, art, and yoga?
Dance, art, yes. So if you go to danceartyoga.com, that gives the schedule, and
I'm gonna put that in there. You're in Garner at Dance Art Yoga Monday nights. Okay. So one last thing. If you were going to tell a student, like you were going to recommend, or you were going to say something, one last thing that you would say to students, like if they're considering joining WiseMind Soul Warrior, or they're considering getting on a consultation with me so that we can consider them as a student to be part of the program. At this point, we've got through February the 7th. So we've got 6 days left in open enrollment. So most of the calls that I'm doing are going to be this week through February 4th. And that's where I've had most of my time carved out, which again, I don't usually do this much one-on-one consultations like I'm doing right now. This is a short window that I'm carving out my time out of my schedule to do this, because I don't normally do this. So I'm just letting you guys know, if you're wanting to do this, this is the window. Okay. No pressure here. I'm just letting you know that it is a short window, because then people will come back and be like, well, wait a minute, I didn't know. Okay. So I'm letting you guys know that February 7th is our last day of open door enrollment. Okay. All right. So Chrissy, if you were going to tell someone, you know, they're about to get on a call, they're thinking about scheduling a consultation, they're really thinking about, they're feeling called towards, they're feeling attracted and called towards WiseMind Soul Warrior, what would you tell them?
Well, getting on a call really is the easiest part, because you're just kind of exploring and seeing if you really want to move forward with anything that you had read about. And it does feel a lot different once you're talking face to face, and you can get kind of an idea of how the process is going to go, alongside of, you as the leader. And then just, I would say, not worrying about any of these little things that get in the way of making a decision that you feel like is, it's time to invest in, like investing in yourself, and just kind of starting there. Everything else around it just seems to fall into place once you get into that, putting yourself first and your health first, and your and then connecting with others as well that are like-minded and able to encourage you along the way. It's incredibly important, and everything else just kind of falls together.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest feedbacks that we've gotten, is to have the support system and to have the accountability. The fact that not every week, because during this time it's been difficult with all the stuff I have going on with all of this, but normally a majority of the time we try to get together once a week, and whether that's during the day or in the evening, and if not, you can watch the replay if you're not able to make it live. But in addition to that, it's just having that sense of accountability. And the other thing is that this year we're also going to be having mentors, and you will be meeting with them once a month to be able to do practicing of meditation, or going through a shadow exercise, or could be breath work. So I'm going to have it open to be 2 or 3 different options, so that somebody doesn't feel like overwhelmed if they're not able to, or they're not feeling drawn towards a certain thing. So you guys are also going to have peer sessions as well. So that will be something that'll be new, that you'll have, you'll be able to meet together once a month, and you'll have that kind of peer interaction as well. So there's going to be a lot of support and a lot of accountability, so that you're not only going through the classes on your own, the self-paced piece, but also this other kind of sense of accountability and support. So I'm going to put the page, which is WiseMindSoulWarrior.com. You can also schedule a call through that page, or directly on Calendly. So I am so grateful that you have taken the time and the energy to share your experience, and to speak your truth, and to step out of your comfort zone, and to be here on live with me to, use your voice. And this is part of your journey as far as stepping into your leadership role, and, your next version of you as a yoga teacher and as a leader. And I am like super excited to continue to just again, I'm getting goosebumps again. I don't get emotional. Like, just watching you guys, seriously, it's just like, it's such a gift to be able to sit back and watch all of you and your healing and your transformation, and stepping into these different versions of who you're meant to be, right? And the highest version of yourself, so that you can serve your students to your highest capacity that you're able to, right? That you're really filling yourself up right now so that you have more to give out to your students. So it's truly a blessing to sit back and watch. So I am super excited to continue with you and everybody else in the group. And we've got some amazing women that are already signed up for this. And we're limiting this to 15 spots. So at this point, I think we've got, I want to say almost 6. So I've talked to a lot of people over the past 2 weeks. So everybody's in different places, but just throwing that out there. So I'm super excited for whoever's meant, right? Who's ever meant to show up for this is going to show up. And who's ever meant to join, just like you did last summer, will. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's part of this that's in my control, but a lot of it is out of my, it's at a much higher level of universe and God that is orchestrating all this together. And all the consultations that I've done up to this point, again, it's not about me. It's about a higher purpose. So I'm super excited to just continue to be here as a guide and as a vessel for you and everybody else that is going to show up.
I love it. I appreciate every bit of it. I've been just kind of stepping in as teachable, and it's been a great just transformation so far. I look forward. You probably won't be able to get rid of me. I'll just stick around.
Well, I'm excited as we get further along, to definitely have you be like part of the mentor team or part of the teaching team as we continue to grow, and we'll continue offering retreats, and there'll be teachers that will help facilitate those. And so this is just the beginning. So I'm super excited. I mean, especially since you're already in E200, to get you into that process once we kind of get further along with your certification and all that kind of stuff. So, so keep that in the back of your mind. Okay.
Okay. That sounds wonderful.
All right. So we're sending you so much love, light, and blessing. Thank you again for taking the time and energy to share your experience with all the students that will watch. And I can't wait to continue to be with you in the WiseMind Soul Warrior training. And we were going to talk to you tomorrow at noon. I'll be in the group tomorrow at noon. Okay.
Okay. All
right, lady. All right. Well, have a beautiful rest of your day, and we will talk to you soon. We'll see everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.